Morning guys, welcome back to Realistic Outdoors, the pod camper build. It is paint day. Pretty stoked about this because that means once this gets painted, I'm close and I can start putting stuff back together. Putting the lights back on and the vents and my drawers and all kinds of stuff. So the reassembly part is coming, and that's actually very exciting. So today we're going to do we're going to spray paint. So what I have today, after much research in two-part epoxy paints to go on top of the fiberglass, I ended up falling upon this. It's a Cloverdale paint, 74924. It actually is, it's an enamel urethane paint that doesn't need a primer, and I've tested it. I've done some test patches. You can actually see here on my door, maybe you can't see from there, but I did a test patch last week, and I couldn't scrape that stuff off to save my life. There was no bubbling, and it adhered so hard. Just a side note, I had been wanting to go matte, and upon lots of research, I decided that matte was not the best choice, as this will be driving around on the roads and some of the back roads, which means it'll be likely covered in dust and dirt, and the flat won't be very nice to clean, and it's not as hard, so it'd be more prone to flaking and chipping. So I went with a satin finish, so it is going to have a little tiny bit of glare to it, but I mean, I can always take a 220 afterwards and just give it a light rub and just knock some of the glare off of it. But we'll wait and see what that looks like. But for now, I'm gonna start getting prepped. I still have I gotta resand that door after my test, and get mixed up and start painting. Woo-woo. Okay guys, thanks for hanging out. See you in a bit. Okay, I did sand this down with my orbital with 220 grit. I made sure to go over the entire thing quite well, and so now I'm gonna, just prior to prepping, I could have done this yesterday, but there's a little dust in the shop, so I'm gonna hit it with some mineral spirits. This is the product I will be thinning my paint with, but it's also a fantastic medium for cleaning off the grease and just wiping up all the extra dust that's on there. So I'm gonna do that now, and then we're gonna start mixing. This is definitely a step you do not want to scrimp on after all the work you got to this point. The last thing you want to do is have the paint not adhere properly and end up scraping or sanding it all off, which would be a ton of work. So just make sure that you really clean the surface really well. I have done a lot of painting in my life, spray painting, so this is one piece I know you don't want to miss. Don't mess with it. Don't mess with it. You know, you'd think you'd want to start with the roof, but in the spirit of not having to go buy some more paint to keep this under that $1,500 mark, I'm gonna start with the walls and the front and the back, and then I'll finish with the roof. I should have enough. A gallon when I thin it should go a long ways, but you never know. I mean, the the test I did covered in first coat, but you definitely want a second on there. So anyway, I'm gonna start setting the air up. So I'm gonna have to turn this off because my compressor is very loud. But I will keep you guys abreast of the situation. Well, this isn't as air dangerous for breathing as two-part epoxy paints or a metal prime or something like that, but it's still safety. You don't want to be breathing this. I will be wearing my mask with the proper paint cartridges, and I will be wearing gloves. And I ruined this with the fiberglass. It's rock hard, very gross. Look at that, rock hard. So anyway, I'm gonna get started on that, and I'm gonna go grab a board and do a test so I can get my air pressure perfect. Right now I'm setting at I think around 20, 21 psi, and I have my CFM quite high, I believe, but I'll do some tests on the board first, make sure I got a good pattern and not just power squirting. Anyway, we'll get the spare board. Oh, there's one right there. When I'm mixing these paints with my thinner, there's no actual measurement that I use, but when you see the thickness of the paint, when you start, pull it up like this with your paint stirrer, and you'll see how it pours off in a V. The closer you get to having the right spray, the tinier that little runoff is, and you don't want it to run off in just a stream. You want a little bit of a V coming off of there, a little triangle, but you don't want a full triangle. It goes on too thick, doesn't spray very nice. So I'm getting close there. I think I might add just a tiny bit more. Just a tiny bit. It also depends on the gun you're using and the type of tip you've chosen for painting. This one is a general tip. I can't tell you the actual measurement on it. I feel like it's a .020. My mini guns are a lot smaller, and they're like big airbrushes. They can do a lot finer work, but this one's meant for coating things quickly. Okay, so there you see that little triangle coming off. It's quite small. That's where I'm going to start and see how it is. See how it is. That's what that test board is for. And I'm gonna get that quick clean. This I just grab any kind of wood that I'm not going to use, or use the back of it. Just have a look at the pattern and make sure it's not splattering. You got too much air coming out. That's no good. You might have not completely cleaned your tip properly. Maybe a little bit of a spatter. So, very important to get that right. Get in there. And there she's set up. So I'm just going to adjust the CFM and the velocity and how much paint is actually coming out till I get something that I like, and then I'll move on. Now I gotta go get my mask. For all you at home that have glasses, I feel your pain. Doing this stuff with glasses on is terrible. Luke, you are my painter. Okay, let's see what I got here. Haven't used this thing in a while. It could be horrible, could be good. Let's see. I don't mind that at all. Still set up pretty good. Let's get started. So far, so good. In case you're wondering, the color is called Carbon, and I just used about 500 milliliters of paint in the front, one side, and 1/3 of the other side. So when you're spraying, the paint goes way further. So you're gonna have tons. Luckily I got a scaffold set up so I can spray the top without having to lean into the paint. So mix up some more. one tip. Can't stress enough when you're painting, spray painting. Clean the shit out of your tools. So I'll swirl it with a lot of mineral spirits or whatever I'm thinning with. Run it through the sprayer, and then pour that out. Pour some more mineral spirits in there. Spray it to the sprayer, and then clean out the can so it's clear, and then put that back in there, and then spray that through again. I'll be painting in 3 hours, so I'm not going to take it apart right now, but putting that 100% mineral spirits through there will keep anything in there from hardening up on you. Anyway, there's what it looks like from the outside light. It's not as shiny as I expected it to be. It's turned out pretty good. I mean, you can see the imperfections in it for sure, but whatever. Solar panel, checker plate, graphics. All I want is it to be weatherproof and waterproof, and I think I may have achieved that so far. All right, I'll stay tuned, and I'll put on a second coat in a little bit. Okay, time for the second coat. It's the same thing, mix up the same way. Maybe even just a titch thinner, but it went on pretty damn thick, so it coated really well. I'm not too really worried about it, but I'll try and get it the same consistency. Go from there. It's still a little bit big of a triangle. It's still a little bit big. A grayish. So like I said before, there we go. Now the triangle is a little bit better. There we go. That's what you're looking for. Say hi to America. Oh. And that's it. 2 coats. One went on pretty thick, and one not too bad. So, take a look at my damn. Yeah, come on there. Whew. Pretty happy with the results. So this nice. This load it. Get out of there. This paint had a flash that you could repaint as long as it was within 3 hours. Otherwise you had to wait 8, and then you'd want to do a light sand. So it was about 2.5 hours. It was tacky to the touch, so I felt pretty comfortable putting on the second coat. So there it is, looking pretty good, pretty excited. I'll finish this up with a little bit of a review once it hardens up to see how it looks. Yeah, I can see some flaws, but I knew they were there. I just wasn't too worried about them. You could spend hours making that smooth if you wanted to, but I don't really care. It's more comfort than it is looks for me. So anyway, it's not horrible at all. Thanks for hanging out, you guys, and as always, I appreciate you guys subscribing, so please go ahead and subscribe down here and like the video and comment. I love the comments, they've been fantastic. And special shout out to Alan, my buddy in Aussie land. Thanks for trusting me enough to start your own. I appreciate that, and yours is looking great. I'm really impressed. Anyway, all you guys, take care. Thanks very much. Well, wouldn't you know it, it's painted. The paint fairies came. I am pretty elated. This has only been 5 hours. She's hard to touch. I believe the paint said it takes 13 hours to fully cure. I have my heat on. I think it's only at 14 degrees in here. Like, it's not super warm. So it cured pretty fast. The only thing I have left next is I'm going to do a 6-inch band of rubber coating and the entire bottom. Then I'm going to, you can see now I have it up on stilts. You can probably see it from the corner. I'm going to put the 2 skids on there that, if you remember in my earlier videos, in my haste, I forgot to put them on the floor before I started building the camper on top of it. So I've got it raised up on stilts. I just used a floor jack, lifted it up, put the blocks underneath. So the rubber will go in, the skids, and then I can let it down and start putting it back together. So I'll just grab the camera, we'll do a quick walk around and show you what the paint looks like. Okay, well, as I said, it's not flat, it's satin, so it's not a high gloss, but you can see in the reflection, there is a reflection. So I'll wait and see what it looks like out in the daylight. I may knock some of that off, as I was saying, with some 220 grit paper. Yeah, it has a roughness to it. I mean, you can see the blemishes that I made, that I've missed, but that's no big deal. So not much left to do, and the roof is good, and the side walls are pretty sweet. And then I gotta fix the door here, which is I set that to dry over here somewhere, I think. Where did I put it? Oh yes. So that's the door there for my little galley slide. I'll call it my galley slide, but it's just a kitchen drawer. And then my back door here. So that's it. So I'm gonna wrap this up because this is done. The next stage is done. So now I have one more major stage to do. That's the painting of the rubber. Well, that should be fairly simple, so shouldn't be anything to worry about. Then I can start putting the brackets on for the solar panel, the checker plating, get the doors back on, get the windows in, Get my lights all back on, and she will be ready for the road. I'm getting so close. This is very exciting. Very exciting. I can hardly wait to go out in this. So hopefully in about 3 weeks, 3 weekends. So this weekend now, I'm not sure what we're in, the 7th of May-ish, Mother's Day. So that's the 8th, I think. So hopefully by the first week in June, I will be out in that bad boy. It's gonna be so awesome. I'll take you guys out on the first camp and let you see how she works and how everything goes. So anyway, we'll do a walk around before then. So anyway, thanks again for hanging out, and please like and subscribe. Take care. I'm Scott from Realistic Outdoors.